Good evening, everyone. I know it has been a long day, 2, 3, but if I don't tell you it was worth every minute, I'll be lying to you. This year, I received some good advice, which I've never done before, is to actually send you an email after the conference, ask you for your feedback, ask like, what did you like? What did you like more? What did you like even more? There will be no place for what you didn't like. Like, we are just in the positive business here. But we'll send that email, and if you need a ride to the airport, it's not too late to check with Ashley and Austin. They are like arranging all of that stuff. We are right on schedule. Again, I would like to extend my thanks to each and every one of you, the speakers, the attendees, the sponsors. Just from the word in the street, I hear that this has been the best ACT experience yet. But I guess since it's also ACT 7, 7 is a good number, so sure. Must be it. So without any further ado, we have our keynote speaker who is going to actually close this ACT experience until we go eat the catfish and the ice cream separately. Please don't dip your catfish in the homemade ice cream. It may, but it's my great honor to introduce to you Sylvia Banderas. Sylvia is the founding publisher of Hola, made in the USA. I think you used that slogan before. Our president used the slogan.
Yes, but to be honest, now we just go with Hola USA.
Hola USA.
It's a big point of difference because we have so many Holas, and we really wanted the Latino consumer to know it was for them.
So without any further ado, we are anxious to hear the story of the launch of Hola. Please welcome with me, Sylvia Banderas.
Hello, everyone, or should I say, hola. This has been such an enriching experience. I cannot thank Dr. Husney and his team enough for bringing us all together and giving us 3 very, very productive and insightful days. Thank you so much, Dr. Husney. I'm also incredibly humbled that he would ask me to address all of you as we close this conference. And I suspect part of the reason you did so is because I am a very rare occurrence in today's marketplace. I am a millennial, on the older side, but I'm a millennial. I'm also a publisher of a global print legacy brand, launching a print-first product. And so the question most people want to ask me, and I think it's going to also help really the students, because the students really have made this even more special for me, and hopefully you'll get, this is really geared for you guys, and you'll get a lot out of it, is why? Why launch a print brand now? So I'm going to give you 3 very good reasons. 1, the opportunity for the target segment that we're focused on, the demographic that we're reaching, has never been greater. 2, Hola fills a much-needed content white space. And 3, I believe that Hola possesses what I call the holy trinity of publishing. A desirable and engaged audience. Again, we talked a lot about the consumer being at the center of our product. And then the premium content, the unique content too, and strong distribution strategy with proven organic demand. So let's start by talking about Latinos by the numbers. The 2010 census revealed that there are currently 54 million Latinos living in the States today. That number is projected to double by 2060, meaning that 1 in 3 Americans will be Latino. Already, 2/3 of the top US markets are overwhelmingly Hispanic. They're 10 years younger than their general market counterparts. The birth ratio is 8-1, so this trend is not slowing down anytime soon. And most people don't know this, but the US is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world, second to only Mexico, and by 2060 that may change. And of course, that means there's a huge opportunity for in-language publishing and in-language content creation. The populations are only part of the story. The real story for me is the buying power. Latinos represent a huge opportunity, particularly for the luxury segment. They are the fastest growing demographic of 100K plus household income. They have doubled their earning potential in the last 5 years, and they currently control $1.7 trillion. To put that into perspective, that is the 13th largest global economy. That is basically would be like outspending Argentina, Spain, and Colombia combined. So yeah, who knew? And the big story there is also that Latinos have made huge strides. And in making this transition, the big story for me is that the unrivaled upward mobility. So also, they're more likely to care about luxury products. For example, 30% say that they care about luxury goods like Cartier, Versace, Chanel. And when we considered the financial story very heavily when thinking about what was missing in the market for this consumer. So the time could not be more perfect for us to launch a sophisticated content platform for the US Hispanic market. And one of the most interesting things about what we're doing is that while we're attracting this very important demographic, we're super focused on making sure that we're creating in-culture content, as that's truly the need. And the way that we do that is really special. So I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of how we do content that is curated for this woman. So for example, you see the Eva Longoria's wedding. We launched with that exclusive with our September issue. That is a huge global exclusive of an A-list celebrity that obviously would appeal to Latinos. But more than that, with that story came a very international flavor. Her best friend happens to be Victoria Beckham. One of her other friends is Ricky Martin, so you can imagine how fun that party was. And of course, our consumer is going to care about it, but it's at a very A level. She's also a celebrity that is known worldwide, whether or not you are Latino or not, you know who Eva Longoria is. But we're also in the process of making sure that everything we do includes a story like our It Girl story that is not just reporting on culture, but creating culture. So another example would be Eglantina Sig. She is a model, an activist, an influencer, happens to be from Venezuela. She's also extraordinarily beautiful. And she has a blog called guapanonstop.com. If you're a Latino woman, the minute you hear that, you're gonna do a double turn and you're gonna go check out guapanonstop.com. And now you know about her because you found her in our pages. We do travel through a really great lens, through the celebrity lens. So basically they are our concierge to their favorite city. So in this case, we featured what I call the new Frida and Diego of our time, the Toledos, and they take us through their New York. But we also keep in mind that Latinos are Americans first, and not everything that we're going to talk about is other Latinos, because Latinos care more about everything else that is American. So we'll feature people like Mohammed Hadid, who happens to be Gigi's Hadid's dad. So another thing that we're focused on doing is making sure that we go out slightly differently than the majority of our competitors. We believe that content precedes language, that language is a tactic and not your strategy. The Latino market is incredibly diverse when it comes to language. You know, depending on what generation you're from, you could be a fifth generation Hispanic from Austin who you would say, you know, they didn't cross the border crossed them, and they've never spoken Spanish in their life. Or you could have somebody who literally has just moved to get a master's degree from Venezuela and is now living in Florida. And so language, while it unites us and is very important, shouldn't be the driving factor. It really is all about in-culture content. And so what we do is we provide mirror editions, one in English and one in Spanish, and we allow the consumer to choose. We thought we'd get maybe a 30-70 split, 70 being Spanish, 30% being English. Right now, we're at 50-50, and it's doing so well that we're actually going to start testing Newsstand, right, Jay? Yes. But language does matter, and it matters particularly with advertising. And we've seen so many studies where the Spanish language version of an ad will always outperform its counterpart. And Spanish advertising, I think the reason for it is that it just creates an emotional connection. And it's always about that engagement and that connection where the consumer feels, you're really talking to me, you're interested in me. So now let me tell you a little bit about Hola and who we are. We are owned by Hello and Hola Media Inc. out of Spain. This is a family-owned, now third-generation business that happens to be incredibly successful. And they started in 1944. A lot of people don't know this, but they're 73 years old and even older than People magazine, and really as an iconic global brand that founded what we know now is the Prensa del Corazón, or what we call celebrity journalism. When they launched because it was a time after World War II and right around Franco, and they needed something to make their people dream again. It was founded by two journalists who just wanted to celebrate life again, give their countrymen and women something to look forward to, something that made them feel like they could celebrate again. Our core DNA of everything that we do is la espuma de la vida, which doesn't translate very well. It kind of translates to like the froth of life or the goodness of life. But imagine those moments where you're celebrating a birth, a wedding, a graduation. These moments where you really are in a very happy place. This is what our content DNA is all about. So you'll always see something very positive, very happy, celebrity weddings, the royals. Never any negative news, never any gossip. Everything is respectful and kind and thoughtful and celebratory. And that formula has worked very, very well because we are now a global phenomena. We have over 31 global editions. We are distributed in 120 countries. And we have 14 million TV subscribers because we are full 360, even though we do lead with print. And we have 25 million weekly impressions on a regular basis just out of Spain alone. So now I want to talk a little bit more about the print experience. 50% of women say that they never have enough time in their day. Even 55% of millennial women say that they don't have enough time in their day. And one of the things that print is constantly fighting for and has an advantage in doing is her me time. Me time is very special because when you decide to share your me time, this is when you open your heart to content and messaging. And this is perhaps the biggest advantage that our platform has over any other medium out there. So the power of print. Through storytelling, magazines earn a space in a reader's identity. Magazines are mirror brands. Somebody mentioned earlier that their favorite magazine was The New Yorker. Well, that says a lot about you. If your favorite magazine happens to be People, it says a lot about you. If your favorite magazine happens to be Marie Claire, it says something about you. Magazine brands, especially very well-known, powerful brands, say a lot about you. They're mirror brands. And that's something that we need to leverage. And because magazines captivate readers' attention in a way that no other medium does, they create an ad environment that is so relevant and important. It's really the true way to capture her in a time when most of us have such segmented and nobody has an attention span anymore. You're lucky if you can get somebody's attention for 2 seconds when they're scrolling down their mobile phone. So magazines embrace the power of an image as a protagonist in storytelling, and that's also very special, and I'll get into that in a little bit more. So for example, one of the biggest points of differentiation that created the Hola brand and its success is that from the beginning, the founder realized that the image can be a protagonist in the story, right? So here you see Eva Longoria getting dressed by her best friend for her wedding. Or maybe it's just a peek into Muhammad Hadid's house. Not bad, right? Or a quick adjustment of a queen's wedding gown. Or a few world leaders talking to Petite Prince. And here's where it gets interesting. Now, when you look at the way magazines can be laid out, 2 images side by side telling a story. Hillary is a stateswoman. Hillary is a grandmother. Or they help you reflect on an amazing life. Images help us see the lovely insanity of parenthood, and all in the powerful context of storytelling in a way that engages audiences like no other medium. For example, in contrast, you can scroll past what we consider now to be probably the most relevant way of working with images as the protagonist of a story, which would be Instagram. But you can see what a huge difference there is between looking at a beautiful magazine spread with 2 different images at the same time and how that tells a very different story. I don't have to say much, do I? you get my drift. Sorry. So magazine spreads unite with text to create a perfect storytelling format that no other brand or medium can compare to. And so I want to share some success stories with you because yes, it is powerful. It is really, it's happening that you can launch a print-first product and see great success. And it hasn't been easy, but at Hola USA we have. We have broken over 35 big accounts in the first 8 months, big national advertisers. Everything from Carolina Herrera to Ford to GM to even P&G, which I'm extremely proud of because as we shared earlier, certain brands won't even consider you before you have had a year being out. We're not going to be a year until September. So we are bucking the trend there significantly and already seeing huge success stories. So it can be done. And we're also seeing huge rapid social growth. We'll be over 1 million before the end of, I believe, August for sure. So I mentioned the Holy Trinity earlier, and I do want to touch on distribution. Not too much because I think there was a great distribution panel that, we've already talked plenty about it, but distribution is super important. They say content is king, while distribution is queen. And without a successful distribution strategy, your business plan will just be challenged. We've seen great success there too. We have had 50% growth in subscriptions in the last 4 months. We're doubling our rate base in under a year. And I think the strength of the global Hola brand has helped us significantly in being able to deliver on great checkout and cash wrap and just great distribution locations. With our first issue alone, we outsold our top competitor wherever we both had pockets. So, bucking the trend. I'll leave you with this. Be true to your medium. Embrace it, and know that fundamentals work. Sorry about that. Identifying an underserved and highly valuable market is really important. Filling a content white space for this key market is also very important. Embracing the power of your medium. We lead with print because we believe that the protagonist is in the protagonist, power of an image is so much richer within the context of an in-depth story. Understanding the high value that print offers as an experience, magazines are a luxury, and time even more so. We offer a great advantage to advertisers, and that is an engaged, focused consumer that goes out of their way to obtain and pay for our content. So naturally, there will be a higher ad recall and positive associations with the brands that are in our magazines. It's vital to make our clients believe and champion our brands. Embrace the power of your brand as a keystone to a lifestyle and personal brand for your audiences. And lastly, embrace that fundamentals will never go out of style. There are powerful and fundamental elements in the print experience that make it very, very valuable to your advertisers. Champion them and educate others on the power of print. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes. Yes. Yes, but that was not based just on us. That's just in general. So for example, Latina has been around for 20 plus years, and they are an English-only publication. But because they are a Hispanic target-focused publication, advertisers that want to run there sometimes don't have Spanish creative or don't get it translated, and so they'll run English ads or the reverse, Spanish ads. And for years, we've seen that trend. So it's not just us. This is across the board. Sure. Yes.
I'm really curious because there is along the same lines. Spanish ads perform better.
Yes.
The request from the audience was 50-50.
Well, that was a request for the content.
Right.
So that's different because what I think we're training our audience for the first time is that we're actually creating content for them in the same way that when an ad is in Spanish, we're saying it's for you. But now we've done that. You know it's for you. So now you can just have whatever language you want because it's different. We're talking to them from a very different level. The Hispanic market is so limited. There are a total of maybe handful of magazines out there right now. And of those 5, only 1 is in English. So what I'm saying is that when they see a Spanish ad, they know immediately it's for them, is different than when they know they can choose a language and the content is for them because it's in culture. So language becomes the secondary proposition there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, congratulations on a great launch.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Any different from a car magazine or a computer magazine? Those niches have their own language and appeal to those people interested in that niche.
Yeah.
You have your niche, and there's no difference. They're comfortable in that area, in that sphere.
Yeah, I think it's just a validation. People love to know that you're really targeting them, and that makes them feel special. And I think a consumer like ours that isn't, for the most part, there's a total market approach, but the total market approach is usually one that is like, we're going to create something for the general market, but it'll be cool for Latinos. Well, we're kind of doing the opposite. We're saying we're going to create something that's inclusive and that everyone can read in English or in Spanish, but it's for Latinos. Yes.
You were talking earlier about your customer response, and I wonder if you can expand on that and how you get that response.
Customer response in terms of the language difference.
In terms of your finding them, that they had not been served.
Well, we're really, really lucky because we're not starting from scratch. Hola has been around for 73 years out of Spain. And then from there, they've launched all over the world. So in Latin America, they have a very, very strong foothold. In fact, they are probably one of the biggest magazines in Mexico. They're in Argentina, they're in Colombia, etc. So there's already a brand heritage And so the recognition has been easier. And we have the TV channel that's been open for 3 years. And that helped a lot. And we already have, like in the US alone, our direct TV subscriptions are over 1 million. So we weren't, we're very lucky. We were not starting from scratch. People know the Hola name. Sure. Yes.
I guess what I'm asking is what took so long and then catalyst for why did it just 8 months ago come to America?
I think that's a really complicated question because I don't want to speak on behalf of Spain, but this market, especially the Latino market, is so complicated. Do we launch Hello? Do we launch Hola? Do we do it in Spanish? Do we do it in English? Do we do it for an upscale market? Do we do it for a mass market? They needed some time to do their research. Also, they're in Spain. Our headquarters are an ocean away. And I think it's really tough for investors when, launching a magazine, especially at a national level, am I okay on time? Is very expensive. So now you have to basically hire an entire team to do it for you because you're not going to be able to fly in and do it yourself. So I think it was a matter of them taking the time to really do their research, to feel comfortable, to find the right staff, to see the need and the opportunity, and then decide to make the investment. Yes.
And just to add what you're saying, our market is so different than all of the other Latin American countries where if you're from Spain, you're Spanish.
Correct. Yeah, no, being Latino is a construction. I know exactly what you're saying, yeah.
Such a different, and it's great because it really does, the magazine is terrific because it really does bring all of that together. It's not like, there's, even within the Latin American community, there's so many different, and it's like everybody wants to separate themselves. Hola does a great job of really sort of bringing it to the Spanish-speaking community as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's why it's been really successful.
Yes, and for me personally, I think it's also important to know that it's the one magazine that isn't mass geared. There's something very special. I mean, my personal reason for joining the team is that I feel that we're creating a product that helps women like me feel like there's something out there for me. We break the stereotype. We are a brand that reflects a more sophisticated style, taste. There's just a very limited number of magazines out there. And of all of them, none, I would say, speak to that demographic. There's a great research study that I just read that shows that the more affluent the Latino, the less likely they are to watch Telemundo and Univision. That's really important because that means their content is completely limited. There's not a whole lot out there for them. Yes.
One thing that I like is there's an heritage here in the States of languages coming in and adaptation, and there's a huge tradition of these in-language news publications, newspapers traditionally, that help people be able to break language barriers. And for us, who are non-Spanish speaking to begin with, but are interacting with Spanish speaking individuals often, it also is an entry point because it is in some ways Americanized still.
Yes.
That I care about someone who's in the magazine and could read the English and then the Spanish version next to one another and be able to pick up some of the language in the way that we used to expect everyone to go.
Exactly. We are turning that total market approach on its head, and we're the only brand to do that right now.
So my only question of this, the observation was just what it is. My question of this, is this the only place in the U.S. where you've launched a dual language?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
As a fellow elder millennial, I just have to say congratulations on being the youngest publisher I know.
Thank you.
And I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience prior to launching this.
Sure. I started out as a sales assistant at People magazine right out of college. Didn't pay that well, and I wasn't in a position to wait around very long. So I looked around and I said, where can I make money fast? And definitely was sales. So I made myself commit to 10 months because I was subsidizing my life on a credit card. So 10 months, I started looking for a job, and I got my first sales job working for IMG Daily. And we launched the Mini, and I was in charge of beauty sales. And beauty was kind of a godsend for me because that's where a lot of the mass dollars are. And so I was able to quickly build relationships. From there, I went to Town and Country, spent almost 4 years there. From there, Latina, then Glamour, then People in Espanol, made my way up almost every single one. And then I left People in Espanol to launch this. Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much.